To the beloved of Yahshael the Christ, the children of AHAYAH, I'd like to refer us to the book of Daniel, Daniel chapter 2, from verse 36 to 45. Let's hear what AHAYAH has to say to his children. Verse 36. This is the dream. Now we will tell the interpretation of it before the king. You, O king, are a king of kings, for the God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, strength, and glory. Verse 38. And wherever the children of men dwell, or the beasts of the field, and the birds of the heaven, he has given them into your hand, and has made you ruler over them all. You are this head of gold. Verse 39. But after you shall arise another kingdom, inferior to yours, then another, a third kingdom of bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, inasmuch as iron breaks in pieces and shatters everything, and like iron that crushes that kingdom will break in pieces and crush all the others. Verse 41. Whereas you saw the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, yet the strength of the iron shall be in it. Just as you saw the iron mixed with ceramic clay, and as the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly fragile. As you saw iron mixed with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. And in the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Inasmuch as, verse 45, inasmuch as the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it broke in pieces the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what will come to pass after this. The dream is certain, and its interpretation is sure. Amen. May AHAYAH bless his words. Amen. Beloved in Yahshael, the Christ of Nazareth. We can see this talking about the passage about Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar. He had a dream, and he wanted his astrologers, all of them, to tell him what they dreamt, and interpret it. Because so far, people have been giving interpretations that are not. Well, that might not be appropriate to any dreams that he might have seen. So obviously it was like he didn't want to be deceived. So he said them to actually tell him what he dreamt and what its interpretation. Because when you know what he dreamt, obviously then you can interpret it. Everybody has different interpretations. However, this dream was talking about what he dreamt, and he saw. If you look at the previous. If you look at the previous verses, spoke about an image that the king saw. And I wouldn't go to the past verses. I'll go to the present one, which I've just read. And Daniel was explaining what he saw. And he said he saw an image which had a gold head. And he said the gold head was King Nebuchadnezzar. And he said he saw let me just quickly go back. He said he is the gold head, and after you shall arise another inferior to yours, then another a kingdom of bronze, which shall rule. So in accordance to all these metals, the metal of gold and okay, let me go back to verse 32. This image head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. So basically gold, then silver, then bronze, then iron and clay. They're partly in the same in the same parts. So all these metals represented different kingdoms and different strength. However, where I'm coming from is this. The Babylonians have ruled over the Yahshaelites. Then other kingdoms rule over them. Then we have the Roman Empire. And now we have this that is ruling over the world now. We are in the reign of partly iron and clay. And you can see what is happening now. I'm not going to expatiate so much. Nowadays, we have to use wisdom when we speak. There's a reason why Yahshael spoke in parables. Because he knew his time wasn't at hand then. But when his time was at hand, you know how he called, woe to this person, woe to that person. Because he knew that it was time for him to leave. The time we are living in now is a perilous time, where there is no freedom of speech, as we all know. But the main thing is, we are in the reign of the partly clay and partly of iron. And they can never mix. Except if you're still asleep, if you don't want to wake up. Things are going on. And it's true, when you mingle with people you're just living your normal life, you don't really know what's happening. But in the musical industry, in the film industry, they are telling us. You see how they dress, you see the colors of the clothes they wear, you see how they decorate the environment, you see all the words that come out of people's mouth, you see how the I don't want to call them by that, the ABC group people, you see how they are behaving, you see the church we are living in now, you see the condition of the church, you see the condition of the people's environment. People they don't care about modesty anymore. People are just being naked yet. So you can see the reign in which we are in at this present moment. And you can see how corruption has gone in all aspects. There is no part that corruption has not really touched. Brethren in the Lord, we are in the reign of partly clay and of iron. They can never mix. We humans are the clay. The iron, you know what it is. If you don't know, study your research. I'm not going to expatiate more than that. But I want to assure us now. Obviously, it's going to get worse. Because it says it's going to rule. He said, the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly fragile. As he said, as you saw iron mix with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men. Who are those that are mingling with the seed of men? Okay, I'm just going to give you a slight explanation. So basically, what we were told to take, what they told us to take, we know the composition of it. However, we know the composition is not organic. It's metallic. This is what they are mixing with the seed of men. Apart from the seed of men, it's also in our environment. But it's impossible for metals and organic materials to mix. AHAYAH did not create them to mix together. That's why the word of AHAYAH says, but they will not adhere to one another. Just as iron does not mix with clay. They can never adhere. They will always be separated. But I want to say something for we that think, oh, what's next? Verse 44 says, and in the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. Yahshael is coming. Brethren in the Lord, Yahshael is coming. I'm not going to be negative, but I'm just going to tell you it's going to get worse, but we have to pray for highest protection. We have to pray for his help and to be wise in this period that we are staying. But those that know their gods shall make great exploit. It's time. We need to be led by the Spirit of truth. I remember I said there was a time I spoke about Isaiah 11. And I read for us, let me read it again. It said the Spirit, it said, my delight is in, he said, his delight is in the fear of the Lord, and he shall not judge by the sight of his eyes, nor decide by the hearing of his ears. We cannot survive in the way of AHAYAH by judging physically. by relying on our own eyesight or our ears. No, but we have to be led by the Spirit of truth. In all things, acquire the Spirit of truth. That's what we need. That is the most important. He who endures to the end, Yesaya said, shall be saved. We have the Spirit of truth there, so we have to ask for the Spirit of truth to help us to endure to the end. Verse 44 says, and in the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It shall break in pieces and consume all kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. That is the kingdom of Yesaya coming. And it says, verse 35, inasmuch as you saw the stone that was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it broke in pieces the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great AHAYAH has made known to the king what will come to pass after this. All this kingdom that have been established for years, for decades, will be broken. You can say, oh, but the Babylonian kingdoms they still exist in existence, because people are still portraying the doctrine of them. If you look at the truth of what is happening, if you look deep, you can see the Egyptian doctrine is coming back up. It's being rebirthed. The Babylonian doctrine is being rebirthed. Roman Empire doctrine is being rebirthed. All the previous doctrines of previous rules or kingdoms are being rebirthed. But they said a stone shall be cut out of the mountain without hands, and it shall break in pieces the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold. All these previous kingdoms and their doctrines shall be destroyed completely, because Yesaya is coming to rule, and to rule over the rod of iron. Brethren, the Lord, this is self-explanatory. I know some of you might obviously have more interpretation than this, but I'm only saying what AHAYAH has put in my heart to say. But we are in that time. The time is at hand. We have to hold fast to AHAYAH. Do not rely on what you see or what you hear, but rely on the Spirit of truth. AHAYAH is going to be instructing us on what we should do. We have to be obedient. If He has told you to speak, speak. If He has told you to move, move. If He has told you to disassociate, disassociate. If He has told you to associate, associate. If He has told you to speak to this person, speak to this person. Whatever He has told you to do, do. If He has told you don't eat this, don't drink this, don't do it. Whatever the Lord tells you to do, that you must do. Look, AHAYAH has no benefit from all these things that He's saying us, but we are the ones that will need to benefit this. Because He wants us, all His plan for us is good and not of evil, to bring us to an expected end. Brethren, the Lord, awaken. We have slept enough for years. If you say you don't know what is happening, you don't want to know. Because there are many things that are happening. Many things are happening. I pray that the Lord will lead us in the right path, and let us depend on the Spirit of truth. Yesaya is coming to reign. And in the days of this king, the AHAYAH of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. That is the kingdom of Yesaya. May AHAYAH bless His words. Amen.